I worked for a wealthy family as a nanny. They reported me missing, so they wouldn't have to pay me. My mother always said that rich people have a special way of smiling. It's a smile that says everything's fine, even when they're hiding something. I never understood what she meant until I worked for the Vireals. I was 21 when I was offered the job. I remember the exact moment. I was helping my aunt at her cafe when a tall woman with straight brown hair walked in with a little girl about 3 years old. She ordered a coffee with no sugar. The girl threw her purse on the floor, and I instinctively picked it up. I'm not sure how, but I ended up holding the girl while they warmed her milk. That's when she asked me if I worked taking care of children. I said yes. It was true, sort of. I had helped raise my cousins, but I needed money. So I said yes, confidently. She smiled with her lips, but not with her eyes. The smile my mother had warned me about. She said they needed a full-time nanny for her daughter Sadie. The job included housing, meals, and generous pay. I was living with my aunt in a small room, so it sounded like salvation. I accepted without thinking. The first time I saw the house, I felt like I had entered another world. It was on the outskirts of the city, surrounded by trees. A black iron gate protected it. They made me leave my phone at the entrance for security, they said. I assumed it was normal. The house was white, modern, with huge windows. It had that artificial silence you only find in houses with servants. It didn't smell like food or people, just dried flowers and wax floors. The woman introduced herself as Amelia Vireal and her husband, who only showed up at night, as Martin. Tall, wearing a suit even at home, with a sharp smile. "You don't have to do anything but take care of Sadie," Amelia said as she showed me my room, right next to the child's. "No cooking, no cleaning. Just make sure she's okay. And never talk to her about her brother." "Her brother?" She paused. Her lips tightened. "He's abroad." That was the first crack in the smile. During the first few days, everything seemed normal. I got used to the silence, the huge hallways, the unspoken rules. Sadie was adorable, though very quiet for her age. She hugged me every night before bed. But something in her eyes told me she had learned to be quiet. We ate alone in the small kitchen, never in the main dining room. I never saw Amelia eat breakfast. Martin arrived late and locked himself in his office. There were cameras in every corner, even in the hallways. They said it was for security. One day, I noticed someone had been in my room. It wasn't paranoia. My notebook was open to a different page. At first, I thought maybe it was the lady, but I started leaving signs. A paperclip under the pillow, an eraser on the doorframe. They always disappeared. When I asked Amelia if someone had been in my room, she smiled. "Why do you care?" I didn't answer. One Sunday night, Sadie wet the bed. She was crying, and while I was changing her, she whispered in my ear, "Don't tell Mom. Please. I don't want to go to that room." "What room?" She covered her mouth with both hands and shook her head. I tried to ask more, but she said nothing. The next day, Amelia told me I wouldn't be going out that Friday. Every Friday, I had time off, just from 3 to 7 in the evening. It was my only contact with the outside world. I'd visit my aunt, sometimes talk to my friend Lena. But that day she told me there was too much work. I didn't argue. I didn't want to lose the job, but something didn't add up. Sadie clung to me more than usual. She told me she didn't want me to leave, even for a few hours. And one night, I heard her talking in her sleep. "Don't put her in there, please." Not her. I managed to talk to Lena using a gardener's phone for 5 minutes in secret. I told her something wasn't right. I asked her not to say anything, but that if I didn't text her in 2 days, she should go to the house. She wrote down the address. "Are they keeping you locked up?" she asked. "No, but yes. It's weird. There are no keys. No door with a lock. But they don't let me leave alone either. I'm going now." "No. I don't want to lose my job." "Better to lose that than to disappear," she said. We hung up. That was the last time I spoke to anyone from the outside world. 2 days later, I woke up and Sadie wasn't there. I looked all over the house. No one answered. I screamed. I ran. I banged on doors. Finally, Amelia appeared on the stairs, in a white silk robe. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Sadie's gone. She's with her father." "Calm down. Why didn't anyone tell me?" "You don't need to know everything." I couldn't say anything. I sat on the stairs and waited. Sadie came back that night. She was asleep in Martine's arms. She had a bandage on her forehead. I didn't ask. No one said anything. That Monday, I went to the kitchen and found something on the table. My ID. A copy of it. Half burned. Only my name and part of the number were still visible. I trembled. I went to my room. The clothes I had brought were out of my suitcase, scattered. And on top, a handwritten note. If you want to stay here, forget your family. No one will ask about you. I didn't sleep that night. And the next day, while watering some plants with Sadie, the gardener slipped me a folded note. It had a single line. The police asked about you. They said you're missing. I felt my heart explode. I ran to my room. I searched through my things. My phone was gone. So were my documents. My notebook. Everything. I panicked. I went to Sadie's room. She was asleep. Amelia was waiting for me at the door. Are you feeling okay? Where are my things? What things? My ID. My phone. My stuff.
She sighed.
You must be confused. You never brought anything here. I tried to leave the house. The doors were locked. I pounded on them, screamed. No one answered. When I turned around, Amelia and Martine were standing at the foot of the stairs. You can't leave anymore, he said. Everyone already thinks you left on your own. Even your aunt signed a statement. She said you were unstable. That's a lie. You're part of this house now, Amelia added with her dead smile. And the old parts get replaced. And then I felt something behind me. A prick. Something cold on my neck. And I blacked out. I don't know how long I was unconscious. I woke up in my bed, my head throbbing like someone had beaten drums on my skull. The light coming through the window was bluish, pale. It was already evening. I tried to move, but my body ached as if I had slept on rocks. I touched my neck, where I had felt the prick. There was a small red mark like a needle sting. I sat up as best I could. The room looked the same, but it wasn't. Things were missing. My towels, my shoes, my bag. The few photos I had pinned on the wall were gone. The empty frame hung crooked. When I stepped into the hallway, there was no one there. The silence was thicker than ever. No distant sound of the television, no humming from the sprinkler system, no muffled laughter from Sadie. Just my breathing and the sound of my footsteps on the wooden floor. I went down to the kitchen. It was spotless, as if no one had cooked in weeks. On the table, I found a glass of water and a small note with my name. Nothing else. No instructions.
No explanation.
Nothing.
It was Sadie who found me.
She came down the stairs in her pink slippers, dragging her feet. She looked at me as if everything was fine, as if I hadn't fainted hours earlier, as if I hadn't been betrayed. Did you sleep a lot? She asked. Sadie, what happened? She tilted her head, confused. The expression on her face was so pure it hurt. I knelt down and took her hand. Where were you all last night? Why didn't anyone wake me up? Mom said you needed to sleep. You were angry. And you? I want to see the doctor. What doctor? She shook her head. I can't say. Why not? Because then they'll take me too. I froze. I hugged her tightly and felt her tremble slightly. I stroked her hair. Nothing's going to happen to you, okay? I'm here with you. I promise. I didn't know if I could keep that promise, but it was all I had left. The following days were a delirium of absurd rules and constant surveillance. Martine made it clear I was no longer allowed to leave the house without supervision. Not even to the garden. The front gate was sealed with a new lock. The cameras turned active, following me when I moved. Not just in the hallways anymore, also in my bedroom. They gave me a list of chores. It said I now had to help with cleaning,
Cook for Sadie.
do the laundry, adapt to the new rhythm of the house. It was their elegant way of saying, you're no longer the nanny, now you're maid. Without pay, without a name. When I demanded to talk, they sat me down in front of the television. Watch, Amelia said. It was a local news report. They showed an old, pixelated photo of me, taken from my social media profile. Below it, in white letters, missing. Last seen May 3rd. Family asks for help. My aunt appeared on screen. The same woman who had raised me on rice and lentils after my parents died. The same one who hugged me the day I got that job. She was a sweet girl, but lately she'd been acting strange. Talking to herself. Paranoid. She once told me someone was watching her, but I never saw anything. I just want her to come home, she said through tears. I collapsed. I didn't cry. I let out a dry sob, like something inside me had broken. I covered my face with both hands. Amelia paused the video. See, she whispered with fake sweetness. No one is looking for who you were. Just the missing girl. And we're the last ones who saw you if you decide to misbehave. Who's going to care? What did you do to my aunt? We only told the truth. That's a lie. It's our word against that of a girl who was losing emotional control. The next morning, there was a uniform on my bed. It was gray, nameless, like the ones worn by the other housemaids I only saw occasionally. Older women, silent, with lifeless eyes. One of them, with graying hair, looked at me as she walked past. Her eyes told me everything. Don't fight, it's pointless. But I couldn't give up. Not for me. For Sadie. That little girl was trapped. Whatever they had done with the brother who was abroad, I sensed it in the trembling of her hands, in the drawings she made of a faceless boy locked in a box. She never used the color red. When she saw it, she hid it. I started paying closer attention to everything. Martine had an obsessive routine, woke up at 5 a.m., drank black coffee in the study, and went out to the garden to talk on the phone. He never used names. Amelia slept most of the day and only appeared at night. She took pills. A lot of them. One night, following one of Sadie's drawings showing a hallway I didn't recognize, I found a hidden door behind a bookshelf in the library. It was locked with a padlock. Old, rusty, but strong. A smell seeped from behind it, like dampness, confinement, or something worse. I returned to the room with Sadie. "What's behind that door?" She didn't answer. She curled up under the blankets. "Please tell me." "Trust me." She raised a finger to her lips, as if saying, "If you ask too much, they give you the blue injection."
Who told you that?
I saw it. They gave it to the boy who screamed. My skin crawled. The next day, I accidentally got her in trouble.
It was a mistake. I swear.
We were drawing. I told her to use the blue crayons, and she burst into tears. She said blue is bad, that Mom uses it when she's angry. I hugged her, trying to calm her down, but at that moment Amelia appeared. "What did you do?" she screamed. "Nothing. We were just drawing." You yelled at her. "That's not true." Amelia lunged at me. She grabbed my arm and dragged me down the hallway. I screamed. Sadie cried. Martine appeared on the staircase. I thought he would stop her, but he just stood there, watching. Amelia locked me in a room with no windows, no bed, no light.
Hours.
Or days. I don't know. All I know is that I was hungry, thirsty, and scared. Very scared. When I came out, I wasn't the same. But I had a plan. I played along.
Obedient.
Submissive. For weeks, I did everything they asked. I cared for Sadie.
Washed.
Smiled. Let myself be watched. Let them think they had broken me. But every time Martine left his coat on the rack, I searched the pockets. Once, I found a crumpled note.
It said,
"Report received. The room is sealed.
no one has asked about her.
We continue monitoring." It was from someone else. A third party. But who? And then the worst happened. One night, I heard Sadie crying from Amelia's room. I walked in without thinking. She was alone, naked, with marks on her back. A belt lay on the floor. I shattered inside. I held her, covered her with a blanket, told her I was going to get her out of there, that we would leave together. "But you can't," she whispered. "Because you're missing too." I was speechless. And in that moment, Amelia appeared at the door, watching us. Her shadow covered half the room. "Are you ready for the new room?" I stepped back, holding Sadie close.
No.
"I'm leaving. We're leaving." Amelia smiled. "And where do you think you can go if you don't exist?" And that's when I heard it for the first time. A child's voice. In the room next door.
Crying.
Begging. "Don't leave me here.
Please.
I do exist." After that night, I slept with my clothes on. Not out of caution. Out of panic. Sadie slept in my bed. She curled up next to me like she knew that was the only place she was safe. But I could barely close my eyes. I spent the night watching the shadow slipping under the door, the reflection of the hallway light that stayed on all night. I never heard the boy cry again. Not a single sound. And that was worse. Because now I didn't know if he was real, or if I had reached that point in isolation where I was starting to doubt what was true. But Sadie had heard it too. Her face changed after that night. She stopped drawing. Stopped speaking out loud. When I asked her about the voice, she only said, "His name is Julian. But Mommy says we shouldn't say his name." Since then, I noticed more eyes on me. One of the cleaning staff, Teresa, looked at me strangely. She never spoke to me, but sometimes she would come into my room without warning and check the drawers. When I asked her what she was looking for, she said, "Nothing. Just tidying up."
A lie.
Everything was already tidy. The gardeners stopped greeting me. I was no longer allowed to be alone with Sadie for more than half an hour. If I took too long, Amelia would show up with some excuse. Or Martine. Sometimes both, like they were trying to remind me who was in charge. Once, in the kitchen, I found a paper left in the microwave. It was a list. 4 names, 4 columns. Laura M. Night shift relocated. Mariana R. Children's area. Voluntary resignation. Claudia A. Kitchen. Did not return. Sophia S. Education/room 4C. Crossed out. Room 4C.
I didn't know any room with that name.
But the word crossed out made my blood run cold.
Who was Sophia?
Where was she now? One Tuesday, Amelia hosted a dinner. She invited a couple of people from the social club. Elegant people with plastic smiles. They talked about art, investments, the new private institute where Sadie was supposedly going to study when she was ready. "And what do you do here?" asked a woman with platinum blonde hair. Her name was Nora. "I'm Sadie's nanny," I replied. She tilted her head. "Oh, really? That's strange. Amelia told us you were distant family. A cousin or something like that." "No, that's not true." She looked at me with a mix of curiosity and suspicion. "Then why are you in the house if you've been reported missing?" "Frozen." I couldn't answer. Amelia approached at that moment with a glass in her hand, smiling. "Everything okay here?" Nora smiled politely. "Your cousin says she's the nanny." Amelia let out a little laugh. "Poor thing. She gets confused sometimes. We're helping her." And she took my arm, like I was a small child who needed to be guided. Like I wasn't a human being, but an object that could be reshaped with words in front of others. That night, I knew no one was going to get me out of there. Not while they controlled the narrative. I was the unstable girl they were taking care of out of pity. The crazy one. The lost one. The invisible. It took me 4 days to find it. It was in the back of the service wing, where the walls no longer had wallpaper, just unpainted concrete. The numbering was strange. Rooms 1A, 2B, and 3C were for tools. But 4C was sealed with a thick metal door and a double lock. One day, Teresa forgot the key ring on the table. I stole it. I went back that night. Heart pounding, I opened the door. The inside had no windows. Soundproof foam walls. A bed with straps on the corners. A camera embedded in the ceiling corner. A broken plastic chair. A small inner door leading to a bathroom with no mirror. All white. Cold. Inhuman. And in one corner, scratched in with fingernails or something sharp, I read, "Don't forget me." Julian, that was his name. The same one Sadie had mentioned. Back in the hallway, I retraced my steps and searched the main wing storage room. Amelia used to keep family albums there. Maybe as a way to feel untouchable. I checked them one by one until I found it. Photos of Sadie. Of Martine. Of Amelia when she was still warm, smiling, almost human. And on the last few pages, photos of a boy. A boy around 6 or 7. With straight hair and a vacant look. Julian. He was in 5 photos. In the 6th, he was gone. Only Sadie and Amelia. In the 7th, Amelia and Martine. Sadie on her father's lap. And then nothing else. No later photo mentioned him again. The next day, I took the album to Sadie's room. "Is this Julian?" She looked at him and nodded silently. "What happened to him?" "He misbehaved." "What did he do?" "He said he didn't want to drink the shake." "What shake?" "One they gave him when he got angry. Then he slept for many days. And when he woke up, he didn't talk anymore." My stomach turned. I went to the fridge. Checked all the bottles. One had a thick, white liquid. No label. Just a number written by hand. #5A. I came back to Sadie. "Is this what they give you?" She shook her head. But her eyes said everything. That night I knew I couldn't stay any longer. Not another day. I didn't care if they labeled me crazy. I didn't care if my aunt had been manipulated. I had to leave. And I had to take Sadie with me. I waited until everyone was asleep. I deactivated the hallway cameras. I had learned how after watching Martine do it one early morning. I opened room 4C. I left it open on purpose. As proof. As a silent scream, I grabbed a backpack. Money hidden in the double bottom of a box. Water. Documents. I went for Sadie. "We're leaving, okay? But we have to do it quietly." She took my hand without asking questions. We crossed the backyard. I forced the padlock with a bolt cutter I had stolen from the shed. As soon as I managed to open it, I heard the silent alarm. Too late. The house had 2 exits. The main one was impossible, but the side one, next to the greenhouse, led to an alley that connected to the back neighborhood. If we made it there, we had a chance. We ran, but when we turned the corner, Amelia was already there. She was wearing a robe. She had a gun in her hand. Yes, a real gun. She pointed it at us. "Where do you think you're going?" she said in a calm voice, as if we were arguing about flowers. "With my daughter?" Sadie hid behind me. "She's not yours." "Not anymore. She's mine." "Just like you." "No, we're not." Martine came running. He had the keys. He tried to reason with her. "Amelia, please. Put that away. Not in front of the child." "Did you know about the room?" I shouted at him. Martine looked down. "Did you know about Julian?" He didn't respond. It was Sadie who spoke in a low voice. "Dad helped him. But Mom said he couldn't leave." The confession hung in the air like dynamite. I knew it then. Amelia wasn't just a broken woman. She was a prison in the shape of a mother. and Martine just a cowardly jailer. I ran toward the gate. She fired. She missed. But the sound left me deaf for seconds. Sadie screamed. Martine struggled with her. In that moment, I opened the padlock. We made it to the alley. We ran.
And ran. And ran.
I didn't look back. I didn't want to know if they were following us. I had only one goal. A store with lights.
People.
Witnesses. A public camera. A gas station. A place where someone could see us and say, "She's alive." When we arrived, people looked at us strangely. Messy.
Dirty.
Terrified. But I had something worth more than any explanation. An 8-year-old girl, clinging to me, crying. With a name. With a voice. And with memory. The store was lit by fluorescent tubes.
White. Noisy.
Full of things. Bread, candy, bags of rice, ice cream in fogged-up glass freezers. All of that should have felt normal to me. Familiar. Comforting. But I was soaked in sweat.
Trembling.
Sadie was gasping, clinging to my leg like a scared animal. She could barely speak. A thread of broken voice. Are they following us? I just shook my head. I didn't know if it was true. But I needed her to believe we were safe. Or, at least far enough. The store owner, a bald man around 50 with thick glasses, approached cautiously. There was distrust in his eyes, but something else, too. Maybe intuition. Are you okay?
I didn't know what to say.
I had gone so long without the right to speak for myself that I felt clumsy. Useless. Please, I managed to whisper. Call someone. Anyone. Just call. The police arrived 25 minutes later. 2 patrol cars. An ambulance. And a child protection vehicle. They separated me from Sadie almost immediately.
She cried. Screamed at me.
Tried to run toward me. The nurse attending to her offered a stuffed animal and a juice box, but she threw them on the floor. I had nothing to offer her, only my empty hands, and a guilt that was devouring me from the inside. The interrogation was uncomfortable.
Pointless.
The officers didn't understand anything. Had I been reported missing? Why was I still in that house? What proof did I have? Why didn't I come forward earlier? I had to tell the whole story.
No embellishments. No exaggerations.
So raw it sounded like a lie. Do you have physical evidence? A young officer with a strong jaw asked me.
Yes.
Room 4C. The album. The cameras. And Sadie. Do you have a legal bond with the girl?
No.
Are you a relative of the R family? A direct relation?
No.
Any witnesses? No one who would dare speak. He looked at me. Closed his notebook. Rested his arms on the gray Formica table. It's going to be difficult. Not impossible, but difficult. At my aunt's house, it was just as complicated. She didn't believe me. How can you make up such a story? She yelled. Those people only helped you. You were the one who was missing. They were taking care of you. Taking care? Do you know they locked me up? They said you were sick. That you had episodes. And you've always been strange. That word. Strange. As if being a shy child had condemned me for life to be treated like a mistake. I left. Again without money. Without Sadie. Without support. Without anyone. But this time, I didn't feel broken. I felt furious. The house was temporarily sealed by child protection. That was the only thing I managed to accomplish with the help of a social worker who, luckily, did believe me. She went with me one morning to testify before Child Protective Services. I explained everything I saw. I described room 4C, the shake, the cameras, the way Amelia controlled the narrative. I also told them what Sadie said about Julian. They didn't confirm anything. They just took notes. Neutral looks. Cold words. But the house was intervened. And for a while, Amelia wasn't allowed near Sadie. Martine, I don't know if he tried to fight for custody, or if he just ran away. But he vanished from the map. Sadie was placed in a temporary home. For protection. They told me maybe it was better if I didn't see her. That I wasn't the direct relative. That it might confuse her even more. But a week later, she wrote to me. A notebook page. Folded in 4. Delivered by a nurse. I do remember.
You. Julian.
You're not crazy. I believe you. I want to leave too.
Sadie.
I went back to working in a cafe. Double shifts. Nothing glamorous. Nothing stable. But it was mine. I slept in a rented room. Studied at night. Tried, with each passing day, to forget the sound of the 4C door lock. I couldn't. I bought a notebook. Started writing down everything I remembered. Every detail. How the house smelled. The number on the smoothie. The location of the switch to turn off the cameras. I saved it all. As if one day, someone might come and ask me, "Can you prove it?" And I'd be able to say, yes. Here it is. 3 months later, I saw a news piece on social media. Girl removed from elite household over alleged negligence. Family under investigation for inappropriate disciplinary methods. No charges so far. The article was short. Useless. They didn't mention my name. Or Julian's. Not even room 4C. But Sadie's photo was there. Hair tied back. Dull eyes. A dress that didn't fit her. I knew, in that instant, that she still hadn't fully gotten out. That she was still trapped in a narrative where monsters don't have fangs. Just money. One day, I received a call from an unknown number. Are you the girl from the RS? I didn't answer. I have something for you. It was a woman. Shaky voice. She asked to meet at a bakery downtown. Said she couldn't give me her name. That she'd wait only 10 minutes. I went. She was there. Short hair. Trembling hands. A yellow envelope in her hand. I worked for them years ago. In the kitchen. I left before things got worse. But I saw enough. She opened the envelope. Photos. Of room 4C. Printed chat copies. And most importantly, an audio. It was Amelia's voice. Give her the smoothie. I don't want another episode like with Julian. If she doesn't respond, at least she'll sleep. She barely talks anymore anyway. My skin froze. Hearing her, it was like being back there. Why now? I asked her. She looked at me, because no one else will. Today I keep all of this in a safe. I don't know if it will ever be useful, but I know that someday, someone will believe me. And when that happens, I want Sadie to know that I fought. That I didn't leave her. That even though the world wanted me to be invisible, I refused to disappear.
And Julian?
No records. No certificate. No headstone. Just one word, carved into a wall. Don't forget me. I won't forget him. And I promise, for him and for Sadie, this isn't over yet.